What's up guys, Julian here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Rossi and East End dub style minimal deep tech. As always, you can grab this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that. It's just $5, but you get this whole really high quality template that can really take your tracks to the next level. You know, it's about giving you guys something accessible that can really help you reach that next level you've been trying to get to. Link is at the top of the description. Thanks so much for the support, everybody. Every little bit helps. And let's dive in. So we're at 128 BPM, you know, a little bit faster, more garagey almost with all the syncopated percussion. And the first thing here is the low end. So probably the first lesson here, and I'll elaborate on this more, is like kind of grouping the low end together. Like you would think, oh, maybe start with the kick. But I really think of these as one thing. You know, it's the bass line and the syncopation off of that very, like, just straightforward kick. So for the kick, we're using this, it says minimal kick, it's a 909. Right? Just like a super fat, punchy 909. You can get that out of the drum machine even. And then we have the bass line. So you can see, this is a simple bass. You know, it's really about the groove. You just pick like 2 or 3 notes like this. And then what I'm doing is I'm walking down and then back up. And it gives you a nice little call and response. You got like dun 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 dun. For the sound, it's made with operator, but there's no FM happening. You can see I've got this algorithm. It's a square wave, a triangle wave to give it like some sub, and then a saw wave. And you get this like very full sound, and then you low pass it with a little envelope, and that's how you get that nice plucky bass. And then it's just being sidechained to this side chain up here, which is like just a really short little kick sample to keep it in check, which I find sounds better than sidechaining it to the main kick. No effects on the group there. Then we have the percussion. Right, so it starts with this just nice, punchy, very mid-rangey clap. I keep that on its own, like all these main drums, like that clap and like, you know, the main hi-hat. You want to keep those out of the like percussion groups and stuff. Keep those on their own. So we got that one, but then we also have all these little sounds here. And they're mostly just little samples, you know. What you're going to basically do is just start with like one thing. Like in this case, I started with some noise percussion. So we have this percussion here. It's white noise. And then it's got a bandpass filter with a very like punchy envelope. And then there's also an LFO on that, moving the filter around. Right, and then I have some corpus, a bit of drum bus. So I started with that, just like steadily going. You know, and then you can add in like this rim shot. So now you just have that every single bar. And then you can add like a response to that with like these bongos. And pretty soon you see you start to build up grooves. And then we have like this thing. Drum rack with some more percussion, you know. And it all starts to really come together. But you just want to make sure like, you know, you have at least like, I mean, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. So it's really going to be like probably more than you think actually. But each thing is just doing a little bit and it's all coming together to make this nice canvas of percussion. And then on the group of that, there's just a little bit of drum bus being blended. Then we have the hi-hats. So we start with the main one. 909 hi-hat. And then like a shaker. And then you get a very like punchy right on top of the mix. And then same deal with the hi-hats as what you saw above. You're probably not going to use as many hi-hats because you can see like, you know, I mean, these are all in the high end and that can get like a bit overstuffed. It probably starts with the shaker here. Just like a very tight, punchy, organic shaker loop. You can see I punched it up, or I pitched it up a ton. It's also being sidechained Then we have this thing, kind of like filling that in, that side chain as well. You know, and then you can start to build like these little grooves here. Like that stuff. And that, even though it sounds small, it's all that stuff coming together with this stuff. And then also that stuff all grooving off of the bass line. Like all these little things that might seem insignificant, that's where your groove is coming from. And if you're struggling, it's probably because you don't have them. We've also got a little bit of drum bus blended on here. And that's all the main groove. Now I want to show you something. If we turn off, like everything I just showed you, if we turn off everything that isn't that. So most of the track is really what I just showed you. And as you can see, that stuff's not that hard. You just want to really make sure you dial in like the best version of it. Like obviously like this kick and bass, you know, it's only 2 elements. But you could spend a whole day or a whole afternoon or a whole hour even just making these the best thing they possibly can. Because that really is so much of the track. Like all the stuff I'm about to show you is really just background. But it's very interesting background. So basically on what these tracks are about, a lot of people would say like, oh, this stuff is very loopy and repetitive. And it is. But it's the point is that there's this stuff that's constantly looping and is super repetitive. And then there's all this stuff on top of it just bouncing around. And kind of adding some variation. And it's not just about the loopy track. It's actually the fact that there's the contrast of the very loopy track with all these different sounds that pop in and out. And these guys use a ton of these sounds in these tracks. I've got 9 of these here. So the way that I made these sounds is I actually used the Arturia Micro Freak. It's a little hardware synth. You guys have probably heard of it. And basically I just sat down. I had this whole, all the percussion down, the bass line, all that dialed in, sounding good. I also had this little string, which I'll show you real quick. Just a string sample, side chain, you know, playing that high, deep house string. And then I sat down with the Micro Freak and basically just played around, right? Like I opened up some of the presets. I played around with them and tweaked them a lot. With that thing, you can get very creative sounds. Once you start changing the waveforms on those sounds, you can really like just dial in some interesting stuff. And when you're working with audio, you just get different sounds. Like this thing. Like that was like this FM oscillator and turning down the pitch. Like just something that you can only get when you're working with hardware. But you can see also, you know, I quantize all of this. Like, you don't just sit there with the hardware and then play it in and it's just good. You have to do a lot of little stuff. Even this, like, you can't see the warp markers, but I moved this to be in time. And, you know, even just putting that in, like, you know, copying it in the same place. Like, the hardware, you do have to kind of, like, reel it in. Like, if I showed you, like, what this... Okay, so this is, like, pitch or time warped. Check out what happens if I unwarp it. This is like how I originally played this in. Here, I'll turn off the delay and I'll play it with the metronome and you'll hear. And then this is what it comes out as. So you see, like, you gotta do a lot of little quantization and stuff, but that's what gives it the sound. And again, like, I know East End Dubs has like the big studio with a lot of hardware synths and stuff, and I get it, because you don't entirely need that stuff. You don't need a Micro Freak to do any of these sounds. You can make any of these in the computer. But when you have that little piece of hardware and you're just sitting there and you just kind of tweak a bunch of sounds and then you end up with this like mosaic of like 9 different sounds all creating this groove. You know, even just like how these two kind of play off of each other. It's a very fun process, and it's a nice way of doing it, and it happens quickly with the hardware too. And you can see with most of these, there's not a lot of processing. It's just like maybe some reverb and a high pass. This one's got a bit of delay. But again, just working with these hardware synths can really give you a lot, and I know these guys use them a lot. And again, like, it's just that feeling of having that session where you just sit there, make a bunch of these little background sounds. Once you already have the groove, you know, the bass line and stuff, that's definitely got to happen. Like, you know, you want to have that in Operator or something like that. But these background sounds with some hardware is a really good way to go. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Let me know if you want to see a video on the Micro Freak. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, the whole template track laid out for you. It's available right in the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out, guys. It's super accessible at just $5, but you get a really high quality template that really will help you make the track of your dreams. If you've been stuck or you just need some new inspiration or anywhere in between on that spectrum, this is really going to help you out. And it also helps me out a little bit. I don't make a whole lot off of YouTube, but I put a lot of work in studying these tracks, so I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.